My grandpa asked me on a sunny Tuesday afternoon in March 2024, "Sweetheart, did you get the email about your trust fund?" I froze, coffee cup halfway to my lips. What email? What trust fund? The silence that followed changed everything I thought I knew about my family. The discovery that shattered everything. My name is Celeste Hartford, and I'm 32 years old. I've always been the black sheep of the Hartford family, not because I was rebellious or difficult, but because I chose a different path. While my cousins pursued law degrees and corporate careers, I became an elementary school teacher. My Aunt Patricia never let me forget it was a waste of potential. That March day started like any other. I was visiting Grandpa Edmund at his estate in Connecticut, helping him organize his study. At 87, he was still sharp as a tack, though his hands trembled slightly as he poured us tea. "Celeste," he said, settling into his leather armchair, "I've been meaning to ask you about the trust fund arrangements. Your grandmother Vivienne set it up before she passed in 2019. You should have received the details when you turned 30 last year." My stomach dropped. "Grandpa, I never received any email. I didn't even know Grandma left me anything." His face went pale, then red, then a dangerous shade of purple I'd never seen before. "That's impossible. The lawyers sent everything to your email address 2 years ago. The trust was worth $2.3 million. The room started spinning. $2.3 million. That kind of money could have changed my life. I was still living in a cramped apartment, driving a 15-year-old Honda, taking summer jobs to make ends meet on a teacher's salary. And somewhere, somehow, information about a massive inheritance had vanished into thin air. Unraveling the web of lies. Grandpa Edmund immediately called his lawyer, Bernard Whitmore, putting him on speakerphone. What we learned in the next hour made my blood run cold. "Mr. Hartford," Bernard's grave voice filled the study, "the emails were sent to the address we had on file, the one provided by your son, Richard, when we were setting up the trust. Celeste H 2492 at gmail.com. We sent multiple notifications over the past 2 years." "That's not my email," I whispered. "My actual email was celestehartford@gmail.com. Bernard continued, "There's more, sir. Someone has been corresponding with us from that email address, claiming to be Miss Hartford. They signed documents, made decisions about the trust management, and even requested several advances against the principal. My own father had created a fake email address in my name, intercepted all communications about my inheritance, and had been impersonating me to the lawyers for 2 years." Grandpa Edmund's hand shook so violently he nearly dropped the phone. "How much has been withdrawn, Bernard?" "Approximately $340,000, sir." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My father, Richard Hartford, the respected surgeon, the man who'd always preached about integrity and honesty, had stolen from me his own daughter. The family meeting from hell. Grandpa Edmund insisted on confronting the family immediately. He called an emergency family meeting for that Saturday, March 16, 2024, at his estate. He didn't tell anyone why, just that attendance was mandatory. I spent the days leading up to that meeting in a fog. I told my principal I needed a family emergency leave. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the times I'd struggled, the student loans I was still paying off, the medical bills from when I had pneumonia and no good insurance, the guilt I felt every time I couldn't help my students who needed supplies. All while my father was stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars that was rightfully mine. Saturday arrived cold and grey. The entire Hartford clan gathered in Grandpa's dining room. My father Richard and his wife Vivian, my stepmother, my Aunt Patricia and Uncle George, my cousins Nathaniel and Lorelei, and various other relatives. 17 people in total, all wondering why the patriarch had summoned them so urgently. I sat next to Grandpa Edmund at the head of the table, my hands clasped tightly in my lap to keep them from shaking. "Thank you all for coming," Grandpa began, his voice steady and cold. "I've discovered something disturbing, and I believe in handling family matters as a family. Richard, would you like to explain to everyone why you created a fake email address in your daughter's name to steal her inheritance?" The room exploded. My father went white. "Dad, I have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me," Grandpa's fist slammed on the table. "Bernard has records of everything. The IP addresses trace back to your home office. The withdrawal requests were made from your computer. You've stolen $340,000 from your own daughter." Vivian, my stepmother, gasped dramatically, but I noticed something. She didn't look surprised. She looked caught. My cousin Lorelei started crying. Aunt Patricia's face was a mask of shock, but my father just sat there, his facade crumbling like a sandcastle in the tide. She didn't need it, he finally said, his voice barely a whisper. She's a teacher. She lives a simple life. We had expenses, Vivian's medical procedures, the beach house renovation, Nathaniel's business startup that failed. We were going to pay it back eventually. You had no right, I found my voice, standing up so fast my chair fell backward. That was NY money. Grandma Vivienne left it to me. Do you know how many nights I've skipped meals to make rent? How many times I've donated plasma for extra cash, while you were renovating your beach house with NY inheritance? Vivian started crying too, but these were tears of anger, not remorse. This is ridiculous. Celeste has always been dramatic. Richard was managing the money better than she ever could. Managing? Bernard's voice cut through as he stood in the doorway. Grandpa had asked him to attend. Mrs. Hartford, your husband was managing it straight into your cosmetic surgeon's pocket and your vacation fund. We have receipts for everything. The revelations keep coming. But the nightmare wasn't over. As the family descended into chaos, screaming and accusations flying, Aunt Patricia stood up with a strange expression on her face. Edmund, she said quietly, and something in her tone made everyone fall silent. If we're confessing family sins today, there's something else you should know. About Vivienne's trust funds, all of them. Grandpa turned to her slowly. What do you mean, all of them? Patricia looked at my father with pure contempt. Richard, tell him, or should I? My father's face had gone from white to green. He looked like he might be sick. There were other trusts, Patricia continued. Vivienne didn't just set up one for Celeste. She set up 4 trusts, one for each grandchild. Celeste, Nathaniel, Lorelei and Marcus. Each worth roughly the same amount. My cousin Nathaniel jerked forward. What? I never received anything. Exactly, Patricia said, because Richard has been the executor of his mother's estate. He's been intercepting all of them for years. The room erupted again. This time, even Uncle George was shouting. Grandpa Edmund looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Bernard pulled out his laptop, and for the next hour we went through the evidence. My father had indeed been intercepting trust fund communications for all 4 grandchildren. He'd stolen from Nathaniel $2.1 million trust, $410,000 withdrawn. From Lorelei, $2.3 million trust, $380,000 withdrawn. And from Marcus, $2 million trust, $295,000 withdrawn. In total, Richard Hartford had embezzled approximately $1.4 million from his own children, nieces and nephews over the course of 4 years. The reckoning. Grandpa Edmund didn't waste time. He called the police right there with the whole family watching. My father tried to run, actually ran for the door, but Uncle George blocked him. You're not going anywhere, you son of a bitch, George growled. The police arrived within 20 minutes. Detective Sarah Morrison took statements from everyone while her partner questioned my father and Vivian. It turned out Vivian knew everything. She'd helped spend the money, after all. She tried to claim she thought it was Richard's money from his practice, but the evidence was overwhelming. They were both arrested that evening. The charges included wire fraud, identity theft, forgery, and embezzlement. Since they'd crossed state lines with some of the transfers and used email to perpetrate the fraud, federal charges were being considered too. I watched my father being led away in handcuffs, and I felt nothing. Not sadness, not anger, just a strange emptiness where my love for him used to be. The aftermath and the revenge. The legal battle took 8 months. My father hired an expensive lawyer, which was ironic considering he was using stolen money to defend himself from stealing money. But the evidence was ironclad. In November 2024, Richard Hartford was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Vivian got 8 years for her role as an accessory. The restitution orders were massive. They had to sell everything: the beach house, their primary residence, Richard's vintage car collection, Vivian's jewellery. It still wasn't enough to cover what they'd stolen, but the courts ordered wage garnishment for any future earnings. But here's where my revenge really began. See, I wasn't satisfied with just legal justice. I wanted everyone to know what they'd done, so I went public. I wrote a detailed account of everything that happened and submitted it to major news outlets. The story of a respected surgeon stealing millions from his own children was too good to pass up. Within weeks, we were featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and on CBS Evening News. My father's medical practice, which he'd worked decades to build, collapsed. His partners forced him out. His reputation was destroyed. Even in prison, he couldn't escape it. I made sure the story was shared in medical journals and professional forums. But I wasn't done. I worked with Bernard to establish something called the Vivienne Hartford Memorial Foundation in my grandmother's name. Using my restored trust fund, I created a non-profit specifically to help families recover from financial elder abuse and inheritance theft. Every major publication covered it. My grandmother's name became synonymous with protecting vulnerable people from predatory family members. My father had spent his life building respect and prestige. I spent 8 months systematically dismantling every bit of it, rebuilding and moving forward. Today, it's November 2024, and I'm writing this from my new home, a modest but comfortable house I bought with my properly restored inheritance. I'm still teaching because I love it, but now I don't have to work summers in retail to make ends meet. My cousins and I have become closer than ever. We meet monthly for dinner, usually at Grandpa Edmund's place. He's 90 now, but still sharp. We spend a lot of time talking about Grandma Vivienne and the values she tried to instill in us, the values her own son betrayed. Nathaniel used his restored trust fund to finally open the restaurant he'd always dreamed of. Lorelei went back to school for her master's degree. Marcus bought his first home and proposed to his girlfriend. We're all healing slowly. I've been to therapy working through the betrayal. It's hard to trust people now. I find myself questioning everyone's motives, wondering if they want something from me. My therapist, Dr. Rebecca Chen, says this is normal after such a profound violation of trust by a parent. I haven't spoken to my father since his sentencing. He's written me letters from prison, dozens of them. I've read exactly 0. I donated them all, unopened, to the Foundation's archives. They serve as examples in our educational materials about the psychology of financial abusers. Vivienne's letters I did read once. She claimed to be sorry, said she was manipulated by my father, that she didn't realize the money was stolen. All lies. The prosecution had emails between them explicitly discussing which grandchild's trust to tap next. I wrote her back once. Just one line, "You helped steal my future. I will spend mine making sure you're never forgotten for it." The most satisfying revenge. But you want to know the sweetest revenge of all. It happened 6 months ago in May 2024. My father's birthday is May 23rd. He turned 59 in federal prison. I thought about sending him a card, something petty and mean, but I did something better. I used part of my trust fund to pay off the student loans of 15 teachers in my school district. At the ceremony where I presented the checks, I gave a speech about my grandmother's generosity and how she believed in education and helping others. Every local news station covered it. I made sure a copy of that news segment was sent to my father's prison. I wanted him to see what his mother's money, the money he stole, was actually being used for. I wanted him to watch me succeed, to watch me thrive, to watch me turn his theft into something beautiful. That's revenge that actually satisfies the soul. The unexpected blessings. Sometimes I think about the email that never came. That fake email address, celesth2492@gmail.com, that my father created to steal from me. In a twisted way, that fake email saved me. If I'd received the trust fund money at 30 as planned, I probably would have been clueless about managing it. I might have spent it poorly, or trusted the wrong people, or never known its value. Instead, I spent 2 more years struggling, learning resilience, understanding the value of every dollar. When I finally got the money, I knew exactly what it meant. I knew what it was like to be without it. I appreciated it in a way I never could have at 30. My father's theft was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But fighting back from it, reclaiming what was mine, building something good from Grandma Vivienne's legacy, that's been one of the best things I've ever done. The final word. I'm sharing this story because I want other people to know. Family betrayal is real, it's devastating, and it's more common than you think. According to the Foundation's research, financial abuse by family members affects approximately 1 in 10 Americans over their lifetime. It's often invisible until it's too late. If something feels wrong with your inheritance, trust fund, or family finances, investigate. Ask questions, demand documentation. Don't let anyone tell you that questioning family is wrong. Sometimes family are the ones you need to question most. My grandpa Edmund told me something after all this was over. Celeste, he said, your grandmother knew Richard had problems. She structured those trusts specifically to protect you kids from him. She just never imagined he'd be bold enough to commit fraud to get around them. But she'd be so proud of how you fought back. I think about that a lot. Grandma Vivienne tried to protect us from beyond the grave. My father violated that protection. And now, through the foundation, I'm protecting others the way she wanted to protect us. That's not just revenge, that's justice, that's legacy, that's love. And that's worth more than any trust fund could ever be. Epilogue 3 years later. It's now March 2025, and I'm updating this story because there's been a development. My father was released early on a technicality, something about overcrowding and his being a non-violent offender. He served only 4 years of his 12-year sentence. When I found out, I was furious. It felt like the justice system had failed us all over again. But here's what happened. He came to my house, showed up on my doorstep on a cold Tuesday morning looking 20 years older than when he went in. He asked to talk. I said no. He started crying right there on my porch, begging for forgiveness, saying he'd lost everything and had nowhere to go. He said he'd made a terrible mistake and spent every day in prison regretting it. I looked at this man, this stranger with my father's face, and felt absolutely nothing. You didn't lose everything, I told him calmly. You threw it away, there's a difference. You chose theft over integrity. You chose luxury over your children. You made that choice every single day for 4 years. Celeste, please. The foundation has helped 243 families recover from financial abuse, I continued. We've secured $12 million in restitution for victims. We've changed state laws in 3 states. That's what Grandma's money did. That's what it was supposed to do. You tried to turn it into beach houses and plastic surgery. I turned it into justice. We are not the same. He stood there, broken and crying, and asked what he should do now. That's not my problem, I said, and it never will be again. I closed the door. That night I slept better than I had in years. Because that's what real closure looks like. Not reconciliation, not forgiveness, just boundaries, just peace, just moving forward with the life I built from the ashes of his betrayal. My grandmother's money didn't just fund my revenge, it funded my freedom. And that finally is the end of this story. The end.